Why? Why is Owen here? Seeing the parents and child holding hands, I was speechless. In front of me were a young couple and a boy about 3 years old. The boy walked, hanging on to his parents' hands, with a bright smile on his face. If they were all strangers, I would have thought that it was a heartwarming scene. However, I couldn't stop trembling, because the father was my husband. That day, I was at the amusement park with my daughter. Originally, we were supposed to go on a family trip, but my husband told me that he couldn't go because he had to go on a sudden business trip. So, I quickly canceled the accommodation and decided to have fun at the amusement park just with my daughter. However, my husband was at the amusement park with another family. The boy looked just like my husband and the boy was obviously his son. What on earth is going on? I stood there, unable to move, watching the harmonious family. My husband and I got married because we shared a love for travel. My husband proposed to me at a hotel on an overseas trip, and we always traveled together on days off even after we got married. And we had a great relationship. After our daughter was born, we couldn't travel abroad as much, but we still explored various places with our daughter in a stroller. However, recently, my husband seemed less interested in going on trips. It seemed that his work was beginning to pay off and had become busy, with more overtime and sudden business trips. I wished he would prioritize his family on his days off. However, my husband insisted, "I'm working hard for the sake of my family," and prioritized his job. The frequency of him canceling the family plans like this time was also increasing. However, my husband was in front of me and he was clearly not working at that moment. My husband had another woman in his life besides me and even made a family with her. I was so shocked that I felt like collapsing right there. At the same time, anger surged from the bottom of my stomach. "You cheating man, I'll definitely make you pay." I muttered that in my head. An hour later, having prepared myself, I quietly went closer to them as they were sitting on the bench, taking a break. Then, I tapped my husband's shoulder from behind and talked to him. "You look like you are having fun with your family. You said that you were going on a business trip, but did you change your plans?" "Lucy?" My husband turned around in surprise. I was sure that my husband had never imagined that I would be there. He turned pale and froze, but the woman sitting next to him remained calm. "Oh hi, Lucy. What a coincidence to meet here like this," she gracefully smiled despite having been caught in the act. What an audacious woman. I felt a chill down my spine. The woman who was with my husband was my best friend. Her name is Anna. We've been friends since high school, and she's the one who introduced me to my husband. I, who had been shy since childhood, had few social connections and little experience in romance. Yet I felt more comfortable being alone and thought I didn't need a boyfriend when I was in school. However, in my mid-20s, my friends were getting married one after another. Amidst the marriage rush, I started feeling left behind and began to worry about my situation. In the midst of this, my best friend, Anna, reached out a helping hand. "He loves traveling just like you, Lucy. I'm sure you'll get along," Anna said and introduced my husband to me. I quickly bonded with my husband, and we began a happy married life. We were blessed with a child, and I was so grateful to my best friend. However, that friend and my husband are together in front of me, and they even have a child. The boy is probably about 3 years old, meaning they already had a child when I got married to my husband. Why did she try to make my husband and me get married when she already had a child with him? I couldn't understand the situation at all. "Can you explain what's going on?" I confronted them. However, my husband was completely frozen with his eyes wandering around. So, I looked at Anna, and she said, "There's no helping it now that you had found it out. I'll tell you everything." And then she revealed a shocking truth. According to her, she had a relationship with my husband before introducing him to me. They started dating during their freshman year of college, so their relationship had been going on for quite a while. After graduating from college, my husband assumed that they were going to get married, but my best friend hesitated because she was worried about the future with him. Actually, my husband had failed in job hunting and he only had a part-time job. My husband assured her, saying, "I'll become a full-time employee eventually, so don't worry," and proposed to her, but she didn't want to become a part-timer's wife. However, she was faced with the dilemma, because she had a strong desire to get married. If she broke up with my husband then, she would have to find a new partner. In that case, she didn't even know when she could get married, so she wanted to stay with my husband if possible. That's when she decided to use me. Why? That's because my parents owned a company. She wanted to make my husband marry me, wait till he takes over the company, make him divorce me, and marry him to become the wife of the president. It was an outrageous scheme. Unbelievable. What do you think marriage is? I was truly disgusted. It's incredibly insensitive to make her boyfriend marry another woman, just because she wanted to become the president's wife. Moreover, we were supposed to be best friends. Didn't she feel any guilt about using a friend for her own ambitions? However, she showed no remorse and boldly said, "You know, I've always hated you, who is the president's daughter. I've always wished you nothing but unhappiness." How could you? It was truly shocking. I had been betrayed not only by my husband but also by my best friend. Even though I had few friends, I believed that as long as I have my best friend, Anna, that was enough. I believed that she understood me and wished for my happiness more than anyone else. But I was wrong. My friend, who grew up in a typical company employee family, said that she had resented me, who have had a comfortable life without any hardships, as a president's daughter. So, she decided to get close to me, pretending that she was a nice friend. While outwardly behaving kindly toward me, she had been plotting to eventually bring me down to rock bottom. An introvert like you could never get married in normal circumstances. You were just a stepping stone for me to climb up. This is what you get. The triumphant face of my best friend as she said this was truly demonic. However, "Owen, what are you doing here?" A man appeared and spoke to my husband. "Huh?" My husband was surprised by the sudden event, nearly falling out of his chair. The man was my father, and my mother was by his side. "Keith? Why are you guys here?" My husband looked bewildered, looking at my parents. Well, it's no wonder my husband is puzzled, because it was an amusement park designed for small children where we were. It's unusual for an elderly couple to come and play by themselves. Yes, I was the one who asked them to come here. Right after I saw my husband with Anna and Thearchild, I called my parents and told them about it. We were at a local amusement park near our home. After Elle called them, my parents rushed over immediately. "So, while you were married to Lucy, you cheated and even had a child with another woman?" "Owen, I'm disappointed. You're the worst scum." My parents were furious. They had always been concerned about me since I was an introvert. Although they never said it aloud, they had worried that I might remain single for the rest of my life. When my husband married me, my parents were overjoyed and sincerely grateful to him. That's why they had cherished my husband until today, hoping that he would become the future president of their company. However, learning about the affair seemed to have drastically changed their perspective. "My daughter will certainly demand compensation from you, but I'm thinking about suing you as a president of the company as well. After all, you deceived us to get the president position." My parents, who had been supportive, suddenly turned and were ready to fight my husband. My husband and Anna turned pale at the sudden appearance of my parents. "No way. Keith and Molly, I didn't intend to deceive anyone." My husband stammered. "Well, we had reasons for this. I can explain." Anna began searching for excuses. However, there was no escape for my husband and Anna anymore. Just a few minutes after my parents arrived, other relatives rushed here as well.
What's going on?
In an instant, surrounded by relatives, my husband was on the verge of tears. Anna was trembling violently, holding her son. I smiled and said to them,
Since you two looked so happy, I took some pictures and shared them with everyone.
My parents weren't the only ones to whom I told about my husband's affair. I had secretly shared about 30 photos of my husband's affair to my relatives. My relatives who rushed over were furious. They were all glaring at my husband and Anna with a fierce expression. Eventually, one of the female relatives, Nova, spoke to Anna.
We have met somewhere before, haven't we? Sorry?
Anna, who had been trembling with her head down, looked up. And then,
oh!
She let out a small gasp and covered her mouth with her hand. It seemed she also recognized Nova.
Your child has grown quite a bit,
Nova said, squinting her eyes while looking at Anna's son. Nova worked as a nurse at a hospital. In fact, Anna had given birth at the hospital where Nova worked.
Thank you for taking care of me that time.
Anna thanked Nova nervously. However, Nova ignored her greeting and kept talking.
By the way,
although she had been smiling a moment ago, Nova's expression had turned serious. Then Nova dropped a bombshell.
How many husbands do you have? What? Well, that's...
Anna turned pale. According to Nova, when Anna was at the hospital to have a baby, a young man, who wasn't my husband, had frequently visited her. So, Nova had assumed that he was Anna's husband, but the man next to her this time was a different person. From her perspective, it was only natural to wonder who the father of the child was. And the one who was shocked by Nova's statement the most was my husband. Anna, what does that mean? Another man came to visit you at the hospital? Please don't tell me that he is Kent's real father. My husband confronted her. At this point, it was evident that it was going to be a chaos. My husband started having a suspicion that Anna has been cheating with another man.
You told me not to come to the hospital, right? You said that to hide the affair, didn't you?
My husband couldn't go to visit her in the hospital throughout her stay, but it was supposed to prevent me from finding out their affair. However, Nova's testimony introduced a new possibility. Anna might have kept my husband from visiting her at the hospital to avoid my husband's meeting with Kent's real father.
Anna, tell me the truth. Whose child is he? He is not my son, is he?
My husband confronted her with a trembling voice in anger.
That's not true. He is truly your child. I confirmed with a DNA test. The results proved that you're the father.
She desperately shouted. However, her words only fueled my husband's anger.
Are you fucking kidding me? The fact that you had to confirm with a DNA test means that you had slept with somebody else. If you were sure that he was my child, you wouldn't have needed to confirm with a DNA test.
Thus, the fact that Anna had confirmed with a DNA test only intensified suspicions of infidelity. However, she was not about to back down.
It's perfectly normal to take a DNA test, isn't it? Why are you doubting me so much? There's no mistake that he is your child, but I did it just in case.
She retorted at my husband. That's how they started arguing, but my uncle, Jack, cut in.
Can I say something, too? Owen, I'm firing you today. What do you mean?
My husband exclaimed. Jack was the president of the company where my husband worked. My husband was supposed to take over my parents' company, but he had been working at a company managed by Jack as part of his learning experience for it. As soon as my parents received my call, they contacted Jack. It seemed that Jack was already talking about firing him then.
Why are you firing me? I admit to betraying my wife. But private matters and work are two different things, aren't they?
My husband pleaded with Jack. Jack responded,
I had high expectations for you. Honestly, I'm disappointed. Jack sighed as he said so.
When I got married, my father arranged for my husband, who had been working part-time until then, to join Jack's company. Jack willingly accepted my father's request to educate my husband. He quickly learned the job, showing significant growth and gaining high expectations within the company. However, after a few years, rumors about him started circulating at his workplace. Some people reported that he was arrogant towards subordinates and female employees. Concerned, Jack conducted an internal investigation, and the results revealed that my husband had indeed engaged in problematic behavior. Apparently, he had harassed a subordinate whom he didn't like, and that subordinate ended up quitting his job. My husband was destined to get fired anyway even before they found out about the illegitimate child.
It seems that you have messed up in your private life as well. But the dismissal is a disciplinary action based on the employment regulations, okay?
Jack explained. My husband, distressed, pleaded,
Please, anything but dismissal.
My husband started apologizing to my parents and relatives. However, there was no one who was going to forgive him, and everyone remained silent with cold expressions. Then, my husband turned to me, put his hands together, and said,
Lucy, I'm sorry for what I have done. Can you convince my father-in-law, I mean your father and uncle? I'll break up with her and start over with you properly. I'll be in trouble if I get fired now. Please, I beg you. Huh? Don't call him your father-in-law. I'm getting a divorce from you. Of course, I'll be claiming alimony and child support.
I said coldly, making it clear.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, I'm begging you. Please.
My husband pleaded again, but I shook my head. I couldn't forgive him for betraying my parents and me, especially for betraying our child. Facing cold glares from my parents and relatives, my husband and Anna could no longer say anything. After a while, they slowly stood up, took their son's hand, and left, looking dejected. Subsequently, my husband and I got divorced. I claimed alimony and child support through a lawyer. After we got divorced, my husband and Anna remarried, but it seems no one congratulated them. People started talking about my husband having married me, deceiving my parents and me, and the rumor spread quickly. As a result, both of their families, as well as friends, turned their backs on them. However, it seems their parents are still strictly monitoring them. No matter how evil my husband and Anna are, their child is innocent. As parents, they probably feel that they cannot forgive until my husband and Anna clean up their act. On the other hand, I rented an apartment near my parents' house and started living with my daughter. I became a single mother and I'm so busy with work and raising my child. But my daughter's growth and the occasional trip have become my emotional support. I still regret getting involved with such a terrible man. However, when I think about the blessing of having my adorable daughter, I don't regret having married him, because I am very happy now.